Good morning, X. Mishi here. I want to trash Apple today. Not the stock, not whatever Tim Cook is saying, the products. I'm talking about the products itself. Apple has always been about the products, about the software, about making them high quality, just work is what they would say. It just works. I used to be purely Android, used to be purely Windows, and then Apple got me. They got me into their walled garden. I had to use more Macs for work, and then now I have a couple Macs. I have an iPad. I have iPhone. I have an Apple Watch. They're several years old. I've gotten value out of them. Don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed it, but I've noticed that they've fallen behind compared to Google, compared to Microsoft. I don't know if there's been a shift in the last 5 to 10 years, but I also feel like a lot of the products have dropped in quality. I think that the physical devices have been having a lot more issues. So while they increase the power of these laptops, at the same time, you're seeing increased numbers of flickering screens and other issues. And it's like, okay, I understand Apple wants us to buy more of these computers, but they also make it so if you need to repair them, it's like $1,000 screen to repair and replace. You can't easily just take them to your local store. And that's okay. Look, that's okay if you want me to be, spending $2,000 on something that has a failure rate of like 0.001% or something. But it's not okay if these issues are a lot more common. And they have become a lot more common in recent years. Things like the butterfly keyboard issue and whatnot. The Siri should just not be a thing. Siri should not be promoted as anything adding value. It's frankly, I think
I found some web results. I can show them if you ask again from your iPhone.
No. See, and I have to make sure I don't refer to it now because you just heard it go off there. It's awful. And I feel like it's gotten worse. Things like, hey, set an alarm or hey, set a timer keep continuing to fail. Now, those things actually have gotten slightly better in like the third beta build of iOS like 18.3. But that's bad, guys. That's really bad if we're talking like we have to go that far. like, that far into 2020, and now it's 2025. Into 2025 to have some improvements with the Apple Intelligence with Siri. Now, Siri, I think they're trying to rebuild it completely to implement, like new AI. Like right now, Siri uses a combination of commands and logic, and I understand that, but it makes it's so bad if you're using an Apple TV and you try to say something basic, like as an example, the traders. And I don't have an amazing voice. I feel like I'm not always the most eloquent, but traders, TRAITORS. Okay. I know it sounds similar to traders, TRADERS. But what I expect is a AI-driven technology company, something focused on all these algorithms, to be able to figure these things out in context. So if I say traders and it is confused between traitors and traders, in the context of previous ways I've been using, let's say the Apple TV, or using that application, or like how commonly people search for traders versus traders. Like, I don't know exactly what would be feeding into this Siri AI system. And luckily that did not activate at this time. Thank God. It's cool when you have one interruption with Siri. It's not as cool when you mess up the second time. But that's why okay, luckily it did not go again. So that's why I feel like the voice assistant has been a letdown. And guys, if you look at it compared to Google Assistant, it is objectively worse. Google Assistant is way better than what Apple has put out there. And it's been that way for a decade and a half. What Apple has been releasing with the Apple Intelligence updates, they've been pushing it through a lot more on the beta builds and whatnot. They're selling these devices like they have Apple Intelligence already built out, and they just do not. Mainly what I use Apple Intelligence for at this point is, and again, they fixed this part, when I want to very quickly add a reminder or add a calendar event. Okay? In addition to kind of like, general pain points with the Apple TV, I have a HomePod, and it sounds great. And HomePods actually sound great. They work very, very well with the Apple TV. Like that's the thing. It does work well with the Apple TV. And this thing has an IQ of like 70. Actually, no. It's an IQ. It has an IQ of 69. Yeah, I should say it has an IQ of 69. No, it has an IQ of 50. Like, it can't even do the basics of the basics. And this is like, it's not a cheap device either. I got mine, I think, on sale used, because like that's another thing. Buy like a HomePod used, or buy something like that used, because like for the most part it's just a speaker. But that's it. It's just a speaker. And if I treat it as just a speaker, it's an enjoyable speaker. But if I try to have it do anything beyond the basics, it fails. So I don't know how people use this thing for HomeKit and whatnot, like turning on their lights, but I think it's a disaster. Now, this is the HomePod first generation. Maybe it's gotten better with the later ones, but I think I'm using the up-to-date software. Guys, there's so much with Apple here where it just feels frustrating to me. Lastly, let's just talk to software. In the past, I feel like there were less ways I could screw up on Mac. Like, if I saw something really weird, it was usually something I did because I was coming over from Windows. And maybe this is not the right way to think about it, but what I do is I think like, okay, how many times do I have to go to Google, or I guess Perplexity? I go to Perplexity a lot more than Google now. Go to Perplexity or something and try to figure out an issue to something I'm having with my Mac or my iPhone or my iPad. And I think I'm relatively tech savvy, guys. So when I'm typing these issues in, as an example, let's think about universal keyboard on Mac and iPhone, okay? Universal clipboard, excuse me. Universal clipboard means that you can, copy and paste like across the Macs, iPads, and phones that are on like the same network. It's very, very cool when it works, okay? When it works. And you want to know what's weird? Sometimes there's a bug where on Mac, if you copy and then try to paste it into your iPhone, it doesn't work. Now, there's probably reasons why it doesn't work that are better explained. But from my perspective, the reason why it doesn't work, wait one second. The reason why, oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say here. God, that's really embarrassing. I got distracted because I think like my headphones might be on for another one, and now I'm worried whether or not like those are recording on. And now I remember, good, I don't have to stop the video. God, I don't have a script sometimes for this stuff, guys, so it's sometimes more challenging. So the way that you fix the universal clipboard issue is you have to go into the terminal, the Mac terminal, which most people probably have never opened, and type in a very specific like registry thing, and it works. And this thing has been sitting on a Mac forum, by the way, guys, on the Apple support forums for like 3 years. I feel like a lot of these things have been sitting on Apple forums, and they just never got into them, and the pace has been increasing in the last several years. So all this stuff just makes it so disappointing, I feel like, to me. Like, I bought these, in the 2010s, mostly early 2020s. I feel like since then, I've gotten more access to more complicated and sometimes very useful features. But I also feel like I'm getting like an Apple version of Windows Vista. It's like, that's how I feel they're moving. Anyway, though, guys, I wanted to do a little bit of a rant on Apple. And I also wanted to say that, like, I can like Apple a lot. I like a lot what Apple does. I think Apple fanboys are stupid, though. I think, like, for example, you can criticize the Apple Siri experience and the Apple TV experience and still use the device. Like, I see people on the Apple TV forum where someone mentioned a criticism of the Apple TV and someone said, I love the Apple TV despite that. And it's like, okay, cool, bro, but that's not what we're talking about. I hope everyone, has their own thoughts on Apple and has their own positive or well, I hope you don't have a negative experience. I hope they have your own positive experiences. Let me know if you disagree with me in the comments or whatever. But I think, I'm unsure, but my next one might not be an iPhone. We'll see. Misha the Turtle here. I'm out.